Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian, the Three Topics Gamer, here to bring you another awesome top list video to share with you guys today. This time, this video idea was brought to you by Silver Fox, so thank you for bringing me the idea. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you my top 5 favorite PlayStation 4 games as of right now. Now, the interesting thing about this video is not the idea itself, but it is simply the timing of the video. I really think that this idea had come to me maybe 8 or maybe 12 months from now, maybe doing this sometime next year, because we have a number of really awesome PlayStation exclusive games coming out in the next, I say, 8 months. And this list could be dramatically different. I mean, we have Death Stranding, Final Fantasy VII Remake, hell, The Last of Us 2, even though I personally will be avoiding that like the plague, and of course Ghost of Tsushima. There's a number of games that could easily change the entire ranking of this video, which is why I made sure to make a little notion saying that this is as of July 2019, because when the PlayStation 5 is finally announced, set, release, I'll be sure to do another top 10 list sharing my top 10 favorite PlayStation 4 game exclusive games throughout the entire reign of that generation. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, it's time that we go back and focus on the top 5 games as of right now. So as you already know, all these are going to be PlayStation exclusive titles only. So with that out of the way, let's start off with my number 5 favorite PlayStation 4 exclusive, which I'm telling you, if you guys do not have any of these games in your library, there is something seriously wrong with you. So starting off with number 5, it just so happens to be this spot on my list goes to Persona 5, and this is certainly one of the best RPG games that I've ever played. And this is coming from someone who, up until this game was released, had never actually played a Persona game before, and I would now easily recommend this to anyone looking for at least an introduction to this series. It has so many elements that keep you engaged, while also having an identity of its own and standing apart from other RPG games that I've played in the past. The entire crew of the Phantom Thieves brings so much diversity and all have such unique personalities. And when it comes to the overarching story, it is really fascinating to explore. And during my first playthrough, it was very unpredictable with a number of twists and turns that I never would have seen coming. The gameplay style is also very expansive, with it being divided between exploration, with it having many different side missions that actually play out over our unique calendar system and giving you plenty to do on the side. And when it's time to get the action started, the battle system is very traditional, with multiple different options at your disposal, which really makes Persona 5 one of the biggest surprises for me. And as I said earlier, if you are still very unsure about RPG games, then this is something I at least suggest you give a try, even over the mass majority of Final Fantasy games that are out there. This spot goes to perhaps the best newest addition to the long history of iconic PlayStation exclusive franchises, and that is Horizon Zero Dawn. Created by Guerrilla Studios, who are the creators of the Killzone franchise, Horizon Zero Dawn perhaps has the best story and best use of world building out of any game on this list. The character of Aloy is perhaps one of the most fascinating protagonists for a new franchise that I've encountered in some time, and seeing her story continue on the next generation of consoles, to me at least, is going to make Horizon Zero Dawn 2 a very highly anticipated game for PlayStation 5 when it eventually comes out, or hopefully when it comes out. And even with me being such a story-driven gamer, the gameplay style of the game itself elevates the fun factor, as Horizon Zero Dawn has probably the most beautiful open world that I have played in a very long time. The enemy variety is very unique and provides the right amount of challenge, and when the combat is engaged, I have so many weapons at my disposal that grant me so many options to how I wish to approach things, and this prevents Horizon Zero Dawn from ever feeling boring or repetitive, even after a 60 to 80 hour campaign. This is absolutely a must-own title for anyone who owns a PlayStation 4. This spot on my list goes to what I would officially consider to be the greatest comic book superhero video game ever made, which is 2018's SpiderMan. With SpiderMan not only being my favorite solo Marvel superhero, placing him only second to Batman on my list of all-time favorite comic book heroes, I think it's truly amazing that just as Batman Arkham Asylum elevated comic book video games back in 2009, that this game would do the same nearly a decade later. This game is simply the perfect Spider-Man game, and without question the best interpretation of the character that I've seen in over a decade. I just can't say enough good things about this title without sounding like a broken record. The story is incredible, the characters are very fleshed out, the gameplay is exhilarating, the music is fantastic. Everything you could ever want in a Spider-Man game is presented here, and just like something like Horizon Zero Dawn, the fact that this is a PlayStation exclusive makes me even more excited to play the next installment when it eventually gets released on the PlayStation 5. Next on my list goes to a title that I could easily see many people believing that it deserves the #1 spot, and I'm sure it will be the #1 spot on other people's lists, and that is Uncharted 4. There is simply no denying that Naughty Dog has managed to create one of the most popular and consistently great franchises in the history of gaming, and with the conclusion to Nathan Drake's story being presented here, they really went all out and presented an exciting adventure game that is thrilling to play from beginning to end. While it's not my personal favorite entry in the franchise, Uncharted 4 is the most impressive game in the series when you look at it from a technical level. The gameplay elements throughout the entire series have been improved upon and expanded upon to a degree that very few action-adventure titles have been able to even come close to matching. And while the franchise may have come to an end, with such an amazing title like this one, it guarantees that this franchise is going to continue to be talked about for years to come. This spot goes to the only game on this list that has earned the coveted title of Game of the Year, and for me, probably was the biggest surprise going in, and that is God of War 4. Now, like Uncharted 4, this is not my favorite entry in the franchise, but what really surprised me was how Santa Monica Studios was able to abandon the traditional style of God of War that we had been accustomed to since 2005, and managed to build this game from the ground up, and in the process managed to create a game that, though feels different, managed to add more depth and more gameplay elements than any previous installment before. And I can tell you, going into this game, I was very hesitant at first because I wasn't sure if I could accept just how different the game was going to be. And out of everything that happened, and after all the changes, I ended up embracing them more than I ever thought. This game felt wonderful, and it felt very respectful to everything that had come before. And that in itself can be a very difficult challenge in itself. But God of War 4 managed to pull it off, which makes this installment more than any other on this list stand apart in a class by itself, which is why I would give it, as of right now, the #1 spot on my list of PlayStation 4 exclusives. And that concludes my ranking of my top 5 favorite PlayStation 4 exclusive titles as of July 2019. Now that you guys know my list, I would really like to know, what are your top 5 favorite PlayStation exclusive games as of July 2019? Share your list with me and everyone else in the comments down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to help grow the channel, as well as be sure to press one of the links in the description down below so you can either follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, or you can support me on Patreon. That way you can increase your chance and guarantee that your next video idea will be introduced on the channel. So with that out of the way, I'd like to thank all of you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.